Good morning, Year 3. How are you all doing? Well done on yesterday's English work, all about prepositions and designing your own Woolly Mammoth cleaning kits. They were fantastic. Well done, well done, well done. So today we are looking at conjunctions. Now I know we've looked at those before, okay, so just have a listen to what I'm saying to you and then have a go at the activities. So, there are two types of conjunctions, two types of joining words that link different parts of our sentence together. So the first one is called coordinating conjunctions. Okay, now coordinating conjunctions link two parts of a sentence together that are both of equal importance. And that means they could both make sense on their own, both parts of the sentence. So if we look at this example here, the woolly mammoth didn't want a bath, but I made him have one eventually. Now here we've got the conjunction but in the middle of the sentence, okay? And both parts of the sentence, either side of the conjunction, so the woolly mammoth didn't want a bath, okay? That could have its own capital letter and full stop, couldn't it? It makes sense on its own. And so could I made him have one eventually. That part of the sentence makes sense on its own. So that is why the coordinating conjunction but is used in that sentence. Okay, let's look at another example. So we've got woolly mammoths are quite big and wool is notoriously tricky to clean. Now, first of all, can anybody remember from earlier in the week what that word notoriously means? Pause the video and have a think. Could you remember? That's right, it means well known for or famous for. Okay, so in this sentence, both parts of the sentence, so the red part, woolly mammoths are quite big, and the green part, wool is notoriously tricky to clean, both of those parts of the sentence make complete sense on their own. They could both have their own capital letter and full stop. Okay, but we've used the conjunction and in this sentence to join the sentence together to make one sentence. Okay, so what I want you to do now is pause the video and have a go at writing two of your own sentences using the coordinating conjunction and or but. If you can, try and make it about woolly mammoths, but if you can't, you could do it about a topic of your choice. Okay, brilliant. Now, the main part of our lesson is going to focus on subordinate conjunctions. Now, we have spoken about those before, okay? So, a subordinate conjunction introduces a subordinate clause. And remember, that's the part of the sentence that makes no sense on its own. It couldn't have its own full stop and capital letter. So we're going to look at three subordinate conjunctions today. When, if, and as. Okay? So, the subordinate conjunction if, let's have a look at my examples. So it may take a while if your mammoth is thirsty. The next example, if your mammoth is thirsty, it may take a while. Now, what do you notice about those two sentences? How are they different? How are they the same? Pause your video and have a little think. What did you come up with? Now, if you read the sentences carefully, you can notice that both sentences are very similar, except they've been swapped around. So in the first example, the conjunction if is in the middle of the sentence, and in the second example, the conjunction if is at the start of the sentence. Okay, so when you have a subordinate conjunction and a subordinate clause at the start of your sentence, you need a comma after your subordinate clause and conjunction to make the sentence make sense. And it tells you to take a little breath. So if your mammoth is thirsty, comma, it may take a while. Okay? Now, if your conjunction is in the middle of your sentence, You don't need a comma after the word if, okay? Because that wouldn't quite make sense. It may take a while if your mammoth is thirsty. That doesn't make sense. We don't need a comma there. We only need a comma if the subordinate conjunction is at the start of our sentence, okay? And we put the comma after the subordinate clause. Now, we can always spot the subordinate clause because it's the part of the sentence that makes no sense on its own, and it always comes after that conjunction. So my conjunction is if, so that means this part of my sentence, if your mammoth is thirsty, is the subordinate clause, because that couldn't have its own capital letter and full stop. If your mammoth is thirsty isn't its own sentence. We need more information. We need more to be added to the sentence to make it make sense. Now let's look at another example. This is, you may need to ask for help when the mammoth is refusing to get in the bath. Okay, so in that example, the subordinate conjunction when is in the middle of the sentence. So I don't need a comma because my conjunction is in the middle of the sentence. Let's look at the next example. When the mammoth is refusing to get in the bath, comma, you may need to ask for help. Now, who can remember why we need a comma there? Pause the video and have a think. That's right. We need a comma there because our subordinate clause has come at the start of the sentence, so we need a comma there to tell us to pause and to take a breath. Okay, so to spot my subordinate clause in the sentence, I find my conjunction when, and then the bit that comes after it is the subordinate clause, the part of the sentence that makes no sense whatsoever on its own. So when the mammoth is refusing to get in the bath, that couldn't have its own capital letter and full stop. That makes no sense. We need more information. We need another part of the sentence to make it make sense. Okay, so your first activity that I would like you to do, I would like you to copy out the sentences below, and for each sentence I would like you to circle the conjunction and underline the subordinate clause. Underline the part of the sentence that makes no sense on its own. So in the first one, when the woolly mammoth is angry, it can make it trickier to wash him. You've got to spot the conjunction, so in this sentence when, and then look for the subordinate clause. Now remember what I said, the subordinate clause comes after the conjunction. So it's this part here, when the woolly mammoth is angry. That part of the sentence makes no sense on its own. It couldn't have its own capital letter and full stop because we need more information. Okay, so work through the rest of those examples. You might like to pause the video and have a go. Now, an extra challenge. In one of the sentences, there is a comma missing. So I want you to see if you can spot where the missing comma is and add it in the correct place. Okay, brilliant. Now, the answers will be coming up for you to mark your work. Okay, now activity 2. I would like you to write a sentence to match each picture using the subordinate conjunctions when, if and as. So you've got a picture when the girl gets soaked from the woolly mammoth splashing, got a picture when the woolly mammoth is drinking the bath water, a picture when the girl's giving him a good scrub on his back, a picture when she's giving his hair a wash, and then a picture when they're snuggled in the towel. Okay, all cosy. So, what I want you to do is use the subordinate conjunctions to write a sentence about each picture. Now I've put on the next page some examples of some sentence starters that you could use to help you. So here's my example here. So if the mammoth is doing too much splashing, use an umbrella. And notice, because my conjunction and subordinate clause comes at the start of my sentence, I need to put a comma afterwards to tell me to take a pause. Can anybody think of any other sentences you could do? pause the video and have a think. While you've been thinking, I thought of an example. How about when you are finished, remember to empty the bathwater. You could also do another one and try and put the subordinate conjunction in the middle of the sentence. Okay, what about call an adult if the bath starts to overflow? Or give the mammoth a drink when he is thirsty. Okay, so see if you can write some sentences, some where the conjunction is at the start and some where the conjunction is in the middle. Okay, fantastic, Year 3. Thank you for working so hard today. And as usual, if you've got any questions or want to send me any photos, please send them over to me at the Year 3 email. Okay, thank you, Year 3.